and welcome everybody to Voice of the Nation, episode 4, Thursday, April 20th. JPN, how we doing?
Oh, doing well. Happy 420.
Happy 420. Happy 420. Happy El Pepe week. Lots of happy things. This network's not very usable, but yes, happy El Pepe week.
It is the week of the Pepe. The meme
That's
coin
right.
season is upon us. Is
Meme
that?
coin season is in full effect. I have ceremoniously titled this episode "Week of the Pepe," but we'll see. We'll see if that's going to stick or not. So, yes, meme season seems to be in full effect. I've seen Wojaks, I've seen Pepe. Of course, nothing like Pepe. Pepe is just going nuts, right? And then
Oh yeah.
pleb coin, I think pleb coin, and then there was like a Rick coin. I mean,
We had
degens
like
are
the
having
entire.
the time of their life this week. The time of their life, I tell you.
We have had a full meme season in about 4 days here. It seems like
Yeah.
we had the OG. We had the
Yep.
off brand AI Dodge or something on Arbitrum. That was
Yeah.
something people
Yeah.
were in.
AI Doge. I didn't even see. I didn't even get to see the logo for that one, but I was trying to imagine it. I'll have to look that up later. That's kind of interesting. So welcome everybody to episode 4. We've got a great episode for you today. Let's see, what do we got on the agenda? Let me open up my list here.
We kind of jumped into
Oh,
it. The first thing is
we did.
talk of the town,
So,
Pepe.
yep,
Uh,
yep. So we're going to talk about Pepe and gas and
yep.
the Euro stable CBDC. Bazaar, that's going to be a really fun conversation. Amazing article released this week.
Yeah.
We
We
did some
also
good
had
work on that.
Gary over here in the U.S.
Ooh,
He went and talked to the Senate here, and he had trouble saying something. But we'll get to that.
yep, yep. I was going to say, give Gary my regards, but I have no regards for Gary. So, all right, let's jump into it. Pepe. Well, let's see. Where's gas at right now? Let me check. I haven't checked in a few hours. Oh my God, we're at 49 Guat. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
have not seen it below 70, and of course, I don't look, late at night, things like that. I have not seen it below 70 during the daytime for the last 2.5 days. So that's
Here,
pretty interesting.
this is where I check gas anymore. It's I used. Have you used
Nice.
ultrasound money?
I have
You go in
not.
here.
No, I've
Okay.
heard of it. I've heard of it before.
This was like just as ETH introduced burning of some fees. This
Yep.
website came out just about then, and this tracks the burning of fees and
Yeah.
whether or not ETH is deflationary. And as you can see, this is over the last
Yeah.
7 days. We've burned
Right.
17,000 more ETH than what was issued. We've
Yeah.
actually burned like
Love it.
31,000
Hmm.
more
I
than
saw
offset the
Uniswap
issue.
was like 6,000 of that over the last week.
Oh yeah, and if you scroll
Uniswap's
down,
burning a lot.
you can see the historical. So it's like Pepe launched what over the weekend here or so.
Friday.
Way back
Yep.
here, gas in the 20s. All right, and
Yep.
you can see the rise as it became more of a sensation. Huge gas spikes. We had somewhere in here it was 150 or so for a minute. Oh, it was bad.
Yep.
But
Yep.
this breaks it down on what the burn leaderboards are, and
Yep. Yep.
one and
That's
two are both Uniswap. This is and Uniswap V2, I think, is where a lot of the trades for Pepe are happening, more so on V2 than
yeah.
on V3. So, like,
Yeah.
most of this 2000 ETH over the past 7 days has been people trading Pepe.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Somebody brought up the point, I think 2 days ago, and they said, they tell me L2s are the future, but all I see is all of the action on mainnet. So I thought that was
Yes.
kind of interesting.
Have you tried to send any transactions this week? Have you braved the high gas landscape?
Actually, I have. I've sent 3 transactions, sent some funds to cold storage, and yeah, I braved I think $7 ETH transfer, which was rough. I mean, usually we're talking $1.50, $1.70. something like that. I mean, if we're in the
Yeah.
low 20s for Guai, maybe 80, 90 cents. And yeah, I braved a $7 one, just because I wanted to move it and I was getting
Mhm.
impatient and I didn't see the end of the Pepe madness. So I'm like, whatever. And then also, I've done two swaps on Uniswap, and those have been $24
Yep.
and $28 respectively.
I
So yeah,
yep.
not
I,
fun. Reminds me of DeFi season when things went absolutely nuts when YFI when Yearn launched and
oh
things were
goodness.
absolutely crazy at the end of
That
July in 2020.
that's a throwback there.
Yeah,
No, I braved
right.
it some this week. I did a swap. I bridged um
Mm,
with Hop. And I
nice.
think both of those it was like
Yep.
$25 for the swap on Uniswap, $25 to
Yep.
bridge. Getting most of that back in OP tokens though. They have a rewards
Mm,
program going on. So shout out paying the
nice.
gas there
Nice.
even when gas is insane. So and then
That's right. Shout out Optimism FND.
absolutely good programs. I mean, I don't know if I would have bridged if all those OP tokens were gonna just if I didn't have those
Yeah,
because that's offsetting 20 some odd dollars to transfer
right.
money between change. It's like it's 1%. They're rebasing at 1%. It's great.
That's crazy.
And then last night
Yeah, Pet.
I picked up our ENS. We're now non-viral
Yes,
for our
we are.
delegation.
That's right. Non-viral, the new name of the delegation. And shout out to the community who had some input there. Shout out to Chat GPT, the silent member of our delegation sometimes, and what a great helper. But yeah, very excited. We got the new logo going. We've collected some input, and we thought that was a great direction to go to show the kind of in the non ecosystem, and then but also our mission as a delegation for marketing. So really cool. So yeah, and great job picking up that ENS, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm, I'm glad
braved
you
another
remembered.
$30 gas fee there, but
Yep.
you do what you have to do
I'm sad.
sometimes.
I'm sad. Right, right. I'm sad about Pepe. I had a chance to buy on Friday, and
Really?
I don't partake in the meme coins. I follow a couple of meme coiners on Twitter and things like that. But the thing is how do you get the signal? They shout about every you know
Yeah. This
Kabuki, 17 launching, just launched, you know, renounced and, liquidity burnt, blah, blah, blah,
10% burn
So it's like,
transaction,
how can you,
10% sell, tax,
yeah,
this,
how,
that, the other thing.
exactly. How can you distinguish the signal? It's just, you're just rolling the crap dice.
Yeah,
And,
pretty much.
I have such mixed feelings about it. On one hand, degenning to the max like this and this kind of excitement, it draws excitement to the space. It kind of reinvigorates people after a difficult bear market, things like that. It
Yeah.
kind of, you know, reminds people that, in crypto, your life can change overnight, things like that. But then at the same time, like, it just sucks the air out of the room from, the projects who are building long term and who are building infra and things like that, like we're doing. So I won't lie, I'm a little bit salty sometimes. You see something like Pepe go down, and here we are at a $3.5 million market cap, but it's okay because I know our time has come, and launch is very soon, and you know like we were talking about this week, right? Meme coins, a lot of times besides SHIB, of course, in Doge, they burn, bright and fast, and they kind of fizzle out. And we're building the most solid foundation that can be built. So life's a trade off.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
hard to have patience sometimes, though.
It is exciting. We get bursts of activity, and hey, if you're an ETH maxi, you know what? This has been great for the burn, but yeah,
Yep.
it does suck out a lot of the air. I've seen on Twitter here
Yeah.
NFT trades are way down right now, and
Oh
I'm wondering
yeah.
if that's not just because gas has been ridiculous for about a week here.
I've been watching some people who track inflows and outflows, and since meme season has taken off this weekend, a lot of coins have had a lot of selling for people
Yeah.
to chase these pumps into meme coins. And so, if you are an accumulator, like, some of us who have been in the space are for a long time, a lot of quality projects at a discount
Buying
right now while
opportunities.
people are, yeah, exactly. While people are chasing the hype, so
Yeah.
good opportunity to get into, some good fundamentals. Of course, nothing is as fundamental as N Nation in the soon. Have you heard about that new meme token, the Soon meme token?
Soon,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
When's that one
Dollar
gonna take
sign
off, huh?
SOON, soon. Something's
Coming
coming
soon.
soon.
Yeah.
What we need is we need a little Pepe Wojak, a little, you know, hybrid there for a meme mascot for the Soon token.
Yeah.
That shit's gonna take off. Excuse my French.
And then we can ride up to the 100 million market cap behind Pepe. Yeah, right.
Yep, that's right. But you see, the difference is we won't stop at one. Yeah, I got yelled at that actually about that by a community member. So we're not going to talk any forward-looking observations. We have a lot of confidence in the project. So
Yeah.
yeah, so network is becoming more and more usable. Eight, 7, 8 years into Ethereum, I never would have thought, Pepe has clogged up the network. It's become unusable for gas, but it shows usage, it shows activity. So,
Yeah.
um, so we're
Speaking
oh my god, we're at 39. We've got a prop that we need to launch for the delegation. Maybe I should hurry up and launch it while gas is down here. So that's
I
pretty
think it may
great
dip
to be
a
at
little bit more
39.
tonight here, so it might go
Yeah,
down a little bit more here overnight. So
yeah.
hang on,
What's
maybe another
Bitcoin
hour.
at? What's Bitcoin and ETH at? Oh, by the way, my prediction last week was good for
Ah,
Friday.
you
I
nailed it.
beat you.
Right.
Dude, I was guessing so hard. But yeah, it was good. But now it looks like we're diving. I haven't checked prices today. Where are we at? Are we hopefully in the 2000s again, or are we still at
ETH
1900 something?
ETH on. Let me go look. Let's pull up CoinGecko, the classic. ETH 1944, Bitcoin 28.2. Bitcoin kind of
Ooh,
soft against ETH here
yeah.
post Chapella.
Wow. Gave up 29, huh? That must have happened quickly.
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
that may have even
I think
happened
if
in
we give
Vegas.
up 28, we're in trouble. Maybe we're going to high 25s, low 26s. So we'll see.
27.5 is what I've heard. Might be a local floor
Oof.
here, so
Yep.
we
Hopefully
may
we
have a
got
little
some we got a
ways to go.
good, some resistance there. All right, let's move on. Euro stable CBDC. This one is interesting. I haven't heard anything about this, but that's how these things start, They try to
And
kind of sneak it in under the radar. Uh,
so
yeah, no good. I hear CBDC and I get a sick feeling in my stomach.
so there's a lot of bad here, in all senses of the word. It's the sort
Yeah,
of CBDC that is very restrictive, very closed up. You can't build on it. They
yeah,
have full control on it.
right.
It's also a really bad implementation
Yeah,
from what I've been reading about it. And then there is a silver lining though. We'll get to that in the end. But this is a from what I understand, this is a CBDC that was launched from a French institution,
for France,
a
huh? Interesting.
French bank. Yeah, a French
Hmm.
bank launched this. There's 10 million tokens minted, 10 million euro. Not a lot. Um,
Yeah,
and the, the lead was buried when I first
no
read it, but
good.
just to give everyone an indication, this is apparently for a very select elite kind of group. Um,
Yeah.
apparently, you needed like $2 million in assets to access the CBDC. You had to be like a member of a wine club. I read
Hmm.
somewhere, so it's like this is not a mass to all the French people CBDC. This
Right.
seems like it's very tight, restrictive kind of one. Um,
Interesting. What's
but
the
when this
upside? Why
launched,
why would someone want to do that?
pilot
They think
program.
is the value of the CBDC going to grow? Is it, or is it pegged to a euro?
I don't think it's pegged, but it might be close. But
Interesting.
the reason to do this, the reason to have a CBDC is the banks are seeing it, credit card companies, Visa, Mastercard, they're seeing it.
Yep.
Ethereum and other blockchains can settle huge transactions for a very
Yep.
small cost, very, very fast in a way that legacy
Yeah.
infrastructure just cannot compete with.
Yep.
I mean,
Right.
if you want to send a wire transfer from here to Europe, you're looking like 3 days. You're
Right.
looking, you know, a pretty good fee on that,
Yeah.
at even a base level. And
Yeah.
so time's bad, time to settlement's really poor, uh, fees are
Yep.
huge, and it's a big institutional, nightmare. It's a lot
Yep.
of work. On Ethereum, you
Yeah.
can literally transact, millions of dollars and have finality, not quite 12 seconds, but like a minute. Reasonably, the block's 12 seconds.
Almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And on the
Right.
L2s, so orders of magnitude faster, orders of magnitude at least one smaller transaction fee. That's
Right.
big. And if
Yeah.
you're in the big payment processing, if you're in the bank sector, that's very appealing. If you can
Yeah.
unload your current infrastructure that you have to maintain, that you
Mm-hmm.
have to,
Right.
upgrade, that you have to
Yeah.
manage,
I can't
and
remember what that
move to
system's
the
called.
blockchain.
Yeah. I can't remember what that system's called right now.
Swift? No,
It's
that's
Swift, yeah.
okay.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Swift. And now they're going to move, they're trying to move to Fed now. But you're right. I mean, all of this legacy infra for instant payments, things like that. I mean, so I can see why they want to do it. I can't see why some of them want their money to be a part of a CBDC
Yeah,
or a pilot
that's
program. I mean, we've all heard, we've all seen, WEF, right? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy, and talk of,
yeah,
in order, we could in times of recession, we could stimulate the economy by implementing a use it or lose it on your paycheck, so people will be incentivized to spend and consume on goods and things like that.
yeah.
And
Well,
it's like, I
yeah,
don't know why somebody would ever want to be have their money be a part of that, or they do the wrong thing and they're canceled, don't have access to their funds. So
right.
there's a lot of slippery slopes with that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So some of the details that I read about this euro stable, I think it's like CV euro converter something of the
Hmm.
euro. Um,
Yeah.
it's an ERC20 token. It's on the Ethereum network. Um, the bad is it's a whitelist only CBDC. So they have to go in, and a central authority gets to decide who can transact with this token. So not only is it
Interesting.
whitelisted, the central authority here has to approve all approvals of the spend. Not even the spends themselves, the approval of the
Right.
spends, and then again for the spend. So the central authority has to approve transactions as a transaction
Yep.
on Ethereum, pay gas fees for it. They have to
Yep.
approve the transfer themselves, again, another transaction, another gas fee on it. So it really feels like they took a database. Everyone sort of jokes sometimes that Ethereum is just a big database or something.
Giant database.
They
Right.
made it a database here. They put it as an ERC20. So it's
Crazy.
kind of baffling that they went ahead and did this way.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but the silver lining. So CBDCs, they're terrible. This one also has a burn function. They
Yeah.
can they can burn the tokens in your wallet. They can also just take back the funds that are in your wallet. I don't know why they have those as two
Ludicrous.
separate
Why
things.
would you?
No,
They'd love to have, this sounds like a proof of concept for this pilot program, and I am sure they would love to have access where all these things. You go and
Ooh,
protest, and the labor law or the
yeah,
retirement extension, boom, funds are burned.
use it or lose
You
it.
don't
Yeah, yeah,
dare.
no.
Yep.
A real CBDC will have those things. Those are things that
Yeah.
are dystopian that they're showing that they're willing to put in these
Yeah.
contracts and use.
Right.
This is a bad implementation for the transaction to approve transaction to actually transact. It's not going to work out very well. It's not going to be very scalable. But
Yeah.
here's the
Yep.
silver lining that I read, and I kind of think this is a good moral to take from this. This is an entity in Europe who is willing to go ahead and trust Ethereum as a settlement layer. They view it
Yeah.
in their regulatory framework as decentral enough and with good finality that they can use it to transact on and be comfortable
Hmm.
there. So
So
even
they
though
so they trust the settlement
Mhm,
properties. That's a validation of the settlement properties of
exactly.
Ethereum and the decentralization. I see. I see. A little bit of
Yeah.
silver lining there. You're right. You're
There's
right.
there's a little silver lining. The implementation's bad. This is not what a big
Yeah.
CBDC will quite look like, but it has elements of it,
Yeah.
which
Yep. Yep.
we're going to see those.
And
They're
we'll
going to
see.
roll out over the
Yeah.
coming months and years. People
Right.
will you'll get it in, it's like you said, you'll spend it or you'll lose it. They'll be able to
Yeah.
basically stimulate the economy by saying, "Okay, here's your government paycheck. Here's your COVID
Right.
stimulus or whatever. Spend
Right.
it in the next 3 months or it's gone." What
Yeah.
are you
Pretty
going to
much.
do?
We need to stimulate the economy. Yeah. And we were talking last week in a team meeting about the new stablecoin bill, or actually that was this week, a new stablecoin bill that was being introduced, where basically DAI and anything that is exogenously collateralized, right, or algorithmically collateralized will be illegal in the U.S., which is interesting. And then about an hour before we jumped on here, about an hour ago, it's floating around Twitter now that Elizabeth Warren is introducing a new crypto bill to the Senate next week. So I guess this is a really good time to jump into the Gary part of the show, the Gary show, and what we saw this week when he was in front of the senators. And
I,
so
I,
let me
I want
just offer my.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
ask you a question. Is
Yeah.
is 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 Ether a security?
Well, no, right now is Ether a security? I guess I shouldn't have done that, but I'm sorry. Gary Gensler, he has done so much damage to the capital markets, in my opinion, and to the industry, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And of course, it's coming, up, I think, from the highest levels. But he did not answer the question. He keeps on talking about crypto companies need to bring themselves into compliance underneath existing securities laws, things like that. It's clear that the framework does not work. We saw Coinbase making a lot of progress in the UK earlier this week.
Yeah.
UK is kind of bending over backwards, to try and throw their hat in the ring to become, a hub and, for crypto, things like this. And here we are, just completely fumbling this amazing opportunity at the, of what it's like a slow motion train wreck. This is coming. The US can fight it all they want, right? But it is coming, right? You can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? The
No.
transparency and the benefits of decentralization are impossible to ignore after countless examples of why centralization and the damage that it has done to the financial markets, things like that. So it's kind of sad to see that. It's kind of interesting that what we saw this week was that the Republicans would be yelled in 5 minutes, and they would rail and they would yell, and and I would cheer and like, yeah, that's right, get up, like these are very valid points. And then we'd see, they would yield to the Democrats for their 5 minutes. And thank you so much for being here. God, it's been such a long day for you. I bet you're hungry. How are you doing? Blah blah blah. And it's sad to see this becoming crypto becoming almost a hyper partisan issue. I mean, we see, states like Texas, we see, very kind of red Republican states that are um, Montana, Wyoming, essentially putting up uh, legal safeguards for
Yeah,
crypto and for to ensure that their federal laws cannot harm them or cause them not to be able to operate properly. And it's sad to just watch this become a hyper partisan issue, because my fear is that if crypto becomes a hyper partisan issue, just like foreign policy is between the two sides, and we have this huge pendulum that it swings back and forth, well, we're not going to have any consistency, and we're not going. And the biggest things that that scare away innovation and builders and companies is when you don't have, when it's very opaque about how the next 4 years, if another administration comes in and then just shuts everything down, like has happened with this administration, right? Then we're gonna see innovation die and not flourish like it could, or
yeah,
if we had clarity and things like that. So that was interesting. I had my alarm set. I was all queued up to watch that, and wanted to see. I didn't think they went at it as hard as they should have. There was a couple of questions about FTX and SBF, and I thought that should have been. I thought that should have been explored a little bit more. But I'll take what I can get. I think they're sending a very clear signal about his leadership in the SEC.
yeah. And I can't help but to feel this current regulatory push is all about clearing the system and paving the way for their own CBDC, so that they're the only game in
Yeah.
town. I think
Yep.
we're going to get to that point where some of the stuff's getting driven out, so there's no alternatives
Right.
to what's to come, and we got to fight that. I think Coinbase is doing a good
Yep.
job. The CEO
Yep.
there was in DC. I just saw he's
Yeah.
he's out there. He's talking to regulators.
Right.
He's trying to educate
Yep.
and trying to tell them the good
Right.
that can come from this. And Coinbase,
Credit. Yeah.
there are hope here right now. I am behind them. I will be behind them, not just in
Agreed.
support. I will be behind them monetarily if they are fighting this.
Agreed.
I
But you see, they had to go incorporate offshore yesterday in the Bahamas,
hmm
because they're being forced offshore because they're trying to be in compliance, and they're being harmed so much by the
yeah,
SEC's actions and the regulatory opaqueness that is, it's just the strategy for how they're trying to kill it. So
yeah.
it is
Well,
sad, they're trying to be in compliance and to do this the right way, and they're not being
yeah.
given any
Well, and
opportunity to.
they went there before they IPO'd and said, "Hey, are we
Yep.
doing everything right? Can we go forward with this? Is there
Right.
any problems with
Right.
this?" They were allowed to
Right.
IPO. Now
Exactly.
they're being told
Somebody
they were
asked him
doing
that
something.
point blank. You saw that,
Yes.
right? Somebody asked him that point blank,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I wish it was not limited to 5 minutes, and that they just have to move on, because some of these questions, they need answered in a long form setting, and
Mhm.
and they need some real answers, not just some politically savvy 30-second, and that's what he does. He always takes 5-6 seconds to think. He knows they're going to get frustrated and move on to their next question, and that way he won't have to ask the question. But the chairman at the beginning, he did such a bang up job of holding his feet to the fire and saying, no, 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 I'm not asking you what the law says. I'm asking you to make a judgment right here, right now.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it. And so
'Cause it doesn't benefit
um,
him. It doesn't benefit him to
it
say
doesn't.
that ETH is a
It doesn't.
commodity. It
No.
goes against their current push to
Right.
push everything else out of the
Right.
space. So,
Well, the talk is that he's gunning for the Treasury Secretary position next. He wants the dollar to have almighty reign and no competitors, so that he will have a lot of power, being the Treasury Secretary and things like that, and it will make his job easier. So
mhm.
it's frustrating, very, very frustrating. I agree.
So
Um,
so so
well,
if our legacy, if our national financial institution is moving in a very different direction,
Yeah.
down the hill
Yep.
rapidly without
Yep.
brakes or anything.
Yeah.
What about our new financial
Yeah.
institution in,
Well,
in the non-nation?
in the boom, bizarre. I just want to wrap up with one thing,
Yes.
and I'm sorry I didn't get to this before you transitioned. I should have. You saw that senators were trading bank stocks at the collapse with the insider information. Did you see
Yeah.
that? Yeah. So, yeah, we don't need transparency and decentralization and public blockchains at all. We don't need any of that. So,
No, being able to tag senator wallets and what
uh,
they're trading, that would have no effect on
right.
anything at all. That wouldn't be good for transparency.
Exactly. It's wild. So
Ridiculous.
let's talk about the future here. Let's talk
The
about the
future,
future. That's right.
the
Let's go
Grand
to
Bazaar.
the Grand Bazaar. Welcome to the yield era, as Non Labs likes to say. Where is my tab?
This is for everyone who missed the announcement or this is the first time hearing. The Grand Bazaar is the non-nation's new decentralized exchange, our DEX, and it's
Mm-hmm.
meant to rival not just other dexes like Uniswap, but other NFT marketplaces like OpenSeas and Blur. And then not even that,
Right.
it's also designed to challenge CEXs, the centralized exchange with orders on chain, real on
Right.
chain orders that can be filled. So
Yep.
this is the next generation of DEX here, and some of the details got released out to the public here this week. So we wanted to talk about that a little bit. This is huge.
Yeah.
This is your all-in-one
Oh,
marketplace for everything that you want to trade in any way that you want to trade it. This is the Grand Bazaar. This is the
look
future,
at that picture. Look
the
at it.
future of
Amazing.
Dex here. So we have it's the great inverted pyramid with the monkey traders. But the
Yes.
idea here is you could really just trade anything. There's a couple of bullet points here, but this is for NFTs and tokens in the same place,
Yep.
which yeah, OpenSea's had not OpenSea, Uniswap. You can buy NFTs there, but you can't like provide liquidity for
Right.
NFTs. The listing's a little
Right.
weird. It just sort of like makes it facilitates buying
Mostly
them.
everything operates off chain.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is different.
Yep.
This is orders, on chain orders. It's going to route through not only the liquidity pool of the bazaar, but liquidity pools for other dexes. So if we
Yep.
don't have the right liquidity, if it's better somewhere else, you'll get routed there. So
Boom.
it's an
Yep.
aggregator. Uh,
Yeah.
there's also royalties. So if you're doing like the on-chain orders, royalties work just like another just like on Blur or OpenSeas. But if you're providing liquidity, we're still respecting royalties in a way. There, it's a little bit different just
Yeah.
because these are liquid NFTs instead of whole ones. But
Yep.
there's still a royalty system when trading the liquid portions, which
Right.
sort of helps bridge the gap between NFTs and DeFi. This is the NFTfi
Right.
farming.
But we talk about
Everyone,
incentives for users, right?
yeah,
Incentives for creators, right? Incentives for traders. All of the incentives are built in properly into the design of the Grand Bazaar. It's pretty amazing.
yeah, everyone who's providing liquidity is farming.
Yep.
Some we'll get to it a little later, but percentages of the transaction fees go towards a future farming season, so you can capture large bursts of activity where there's a huge amount of trading volume and be able to
Yep.
reward liquidity that's occurring weeks or months later in a way that lets you capture hype for sustained growth, which is
Right.
currently LPs. You benefit when there's a lot of volume, but after that there's no reason to continue to LP. You move on.
Right.
Here this gives a
Again,
reason to stay.
incentives.
Yeah.
Right. Incentive mechanisms to have a robust, sustaining system, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And those farms, they can be juiced. They can be juiced by
Hmm.
protocols. Just and it's in the simplest, most elegant way possible. There's a future farm. It's just an address. You just send tokens to the address, and they'll be distributed for
Right.
farming. It's all baked into the protocol. So
Right.
if you want your liquidity somewhere and you want to be able to incentivize it, you just transfer it to an address, and you are boosting the farming yield for the people who are providing your liquidity. It's
Yep.
super simple system to juice rewards and to say, hey, come provide liquidity on the bazaar, you'll be rewarded for doing so.
Yeah. Look at this beautiful infographic. I didn't get a chance to take a look at this so much. Can we blow it up a little bit?
Yeah, here, let me. Oh, we can go full screen there.
Boom.
Yeah, this
Yep.
is
Look at it.
the differences in swaps. So on the bazaar, everything is an ETH pool. It's in that
Yeah.
way, it's sort of like Uniswap V1.
Right.
Everything is paired against ETH, and that means if you're trying to do some sort of swap, you don't necessarily have to go through a million pools to try to get to the best place. You just go into a pool that's against ETH and get your ETH out. And
Right.
if that's not the best way, the aggregator will go to some of these other places and do swaps.
Right.
But it's meant to be super simple, and it's not meant for stable coins. These are distributed liquidity. There's no concentrated liquidity here,
Right.
which is actually really good for the smaller cap tokens. You don't need huge blocks of concentrated liquidity there. You kind of want it spread out so that you have potential for explosive growth.
Mm-hmm. So let's do a hypothetical, right? So, Bazaar, let's do a hypothetical that Bazaar was live as of last Friday, right? And
Yeah.
and PEPE launched, right? Do you think that we would see a significant amount of the trading activity? I mean, of course, with awareness, everything like that, and we have people using the platforms. Would there be incentive to trade on Bazaar as opposed to Uniswap, things like that?
There might be some incentive to swap on Bazaar. More where the incentive would be is to go ahead and provide liquidity. All of these pools are going to be
Right,
1% pools.
right.
Right now, I think Pepe has liquidity of like 2.5 million for
Yeah,
its
I think it's
120 some odd market cap. In fact, let me look.
right.
Liquidity on Uniswap V2 is 3 million. I'm sorry, 3 million here
3 million.
if you combine
Yep.
the Pepe and ETH, which is not a lot for its market cap. So people aren't providing liquidity to Pepe. This
Right.
sort of solves that. So this,
Yep.
as a liquidity provider, you're getting paid. You are getting paid to provide your liquidity. The large volumes that we're seeing would be feeding a future farm. People would want to
Yeah.
accumulate to get Pepe rewards in the future.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so yeah, a big advantage of the bazaar is you want to LP there. You want to provide your
Yeah.
liquidity. You're getting paid to do so. And as a user, deeper liquidity is going to make for better swaps. So
Right.
you pay the
We need to
you
we
pay
need
for
to
your
do some
liquidity.
marketing directly to LPers and
Yeah,
traders. Yep.
and this is
Definitely.
this is really a dex that wants to put the LPs first. If you incentivize the liquidity providers, they will be there. They will provide
Yep.
liquidity. Deep liquidity will make for better swaps, and
Right.
you end up benefiting the end users because you're benefiting the LPs. So that's
Right.
one of the big things with the bazaar that I think is going to set it apart from Uniswap or Sushi Swap
Right.
or any of the other ones here.
Right. Right. And traders and LPers, they follow the money. They
Yeah,
they follow the returns. So and word spreads quickly. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
definitely looking forward to that.
yeah.
Ooh, persistent
This
yield. Let's go.
persistent, yeah, basically being able to capture that volume to turn it
Yep.
into APR in the future is huge. Right now,
Yeah.
your volume goes away, your reason to LP goes away. You basically are just
Yes.
chasing volume. This changes that. This changes and says, okay, after that big pump, there's a reason to stay here because my farming rewards are going to be big here. And if
Right.
you're incentivizing that liquidity, well, then people are going to want to be swapping there more. So it's a
Yeah.
win-win. And you don't have to have these, long sustained periods of huge amounts of volume. You can have short bursts that kind of help you into the future here.
Yep. Yep.
Short burst,
Definitely.
more volume means better rewards, which means more LPs, which means more volume, and you get into a positive feedback loop. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah. Yep.
And you know what? If your yield's down right now and you're a protocol, you can just juice it. You can just say, all right, we're gonna kickstart this a little bit more. Here we'll throw some into the next farming season to attract that liquidity and get things started. It's
Right.
huge.
Yeah, it is huge. I can't wait. I can't wait till it launches. It's going to attract so much attention, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, here it talks about the fees a little bit. So if you're swapping from ETH, 0.1% is going into the non-gov treasury for the
Yep.
non-nation. So this is where if you're just holding non, you're going to benefit from the volume going into the bazaar. As people are buying tokens here, a small portion of that's going towards our protocol. The
Yep.
rest is paying off your liquidity providers. 0.3% is pretty decent.
Right.
Pay your LPs, and that goes in. When it's swaps from tokens, whether that be ERC20s like DAI or NFTs, here we have an ape. 0.3% is going to the LP, and 0.1% of from tokens are going into your future farming rewards for the people in that liquidity pool. So as people are selling
Right.
the token, you're juicing liquidity for the future.
Yep. It's a good
And
setup.
then there's uh, yeah, this is the for royalties are in here. So royalties are 1% pools here. And again, 0.3% is going in, 0.1% is going to the gov, 0.6% as you're doing these liquid NFTs in the NFTfi.
Mm-hmm.
0.6% of your
Mm-hmm.
from ETH is going to royalty owners, split however you have royalty, proportionally to the
Yep.
royalty owners. When you're
Right.
swapping from the tokens, here's the exciting part, actually. When you're swapping from a token, 0.3% still goes to the liquidity provider, but 0.7% for these royalty ones are going to farming. This is seven
That's
times as much
huge.
for the as
Right.
the other ones. So if you have
Yeah.
royalties in your NFTs, uh, rewards for those for future farming seasons are going to be absolutely massive.
That's huge.
And then orders are the other big thing. So if you're doing an order with an NFT, it respects the ERC. I think it's 2981 royalties
2981. Yep.
for
Yep.
orders, just like they would on Blur, just like they would on OpenSea. The royalty
Yep.
providers getting their full chunk that they say. So when you sell a full one, they're getting exactly what they would get on OpenSea, exactly what they would get on Blur. So this is a win for
Right.
creators here.
Right.
You
No
get you get
trade
the
off.
benefit. Same
Yep.
thing when you're trading full tokens, and then when you're doing the NFTfi, rather than not getting any royalties, you're still getting a percentage of it. So
Right. Yep.
in the bazaar, we wanted to make sure that the content creators, the artists, that they were getting that their royalties were still respected here, and they are in a
That's
way that I
that's what
don't
I
think this is active in other like NFTfi places. They just issue an ERC20 and they take their cut, but they cut out the
right.
royalty owners.
Basically non-labs is coming in and they're Apple-ifying it, right? They're basically looking and perfecting perfecting the DEX experience, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we've got incentives for every user type. We've got partial orders. We've got a centralized exchange type feel and these kind of things. Fully on-chain orders. I mean, there's something in it for everybody, and all of the incentives are set up properly for each user type. So it's man, it's going to be big. It's going to be real big.
yeah, yeah. This
Very
is
exciting.
yeah 0.4% for pools without royalties and 1% for pools with royalties. This is we're trying to align all the stuff that we learned, with dexes in the past, with marketplaces in the
Right.
past, and make this a good place for LPs, make it a good place for the
Yeah.
artist. And if
Right.
they're both for you, the low swap fees are going to come because when you
Yeah,
have the liquidity and you have the backing of the creators, you're going to have the volume. So
right.
rather than chase
Liquidity
volume,
reigns supreme.
yep,
Yeah,
we're chasing liquidity. We're not chasing volume.
exactly. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, this was a great article. If you guys haven't had a chance to read it, go check it out. Collect the collectible on Medium there. That's on Optimism Network, right? You won't be affected
Yeah,
by
yeah,
Pepe.
it's
I
on
think it cost me
optimism.
30 seconds.
You're a little affected by it. Let me see. I can stop the share here. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're optimism. I think I paid 70 cents the other night for a transaction on optimism, which is like, whew,
Yep.
so much for optimism, and it's
It's
like
a
that's
lot. Right.
I paid 20 times as much on 50 times
Yep.
as much on mainnet for the same thing. So,
Yep. So if bottom line, if you guys haven't taken the time to read the article, to watch the video, to look into all of the mechanisms in the function and the kind of the game theory design behind the bazaar, go check it out because you will be very impressed and you will see exactly why Non Labs has set it up the way that they have in order to you know take off, hopefully quickly because it's got something for everybody and incentivizes every user type, as I keep saying. So it's exciting times for sure.
yeah, this is it's a great dex, and there's going to be more coming out about it. Uh, Going into the
Yeah, that's
future
just the
here, there's
first
more
article, right?
articles. Yeah,
Right,
this
right,
was laying out how we decided to go ahead and set up those fee percentages, how that's going to
right.
work, and especially one of the key things here is how it's going to help benefit the non-nation as a whole. Some of those
Right.
transactions, when you're coming from ETH, some of that swap is going to be going towards our treasury splitter, which is going to go towards helping delegations. Thank you, as
Yes. Yep.
as delegation
Right.
owners. Thank you.
Our economy, which benefits
Yeah,
non-holders, soon holders, and
yeah.
non-holders. So,
It's going to go into the investment fund. That's
yep,
going to go into the public treasury of the non-nation, and part of the
yep.
investment fund buys back and burns non.
No,
So
yes,
the bazaar is a way
yep,
that non-holders are going to directly benefit from volume. So
right. That's
w-
exciting. As a non-holder, I have to say that's very exciting.
yeah.
Um, there was talk of this, when this was being designed
Hmm.
last year, late last year, things like that, or last year. And that's one thing that is, as a holder that I was really, really hoping for. It's just such a smart way to set up the system for sustainability and things like that. And when
Hmm.
we talk about these mechanisms and these incentive mechanisms for sustainability, I mean, this is what is needed, right? I mean, of course, we've got a couple giant players, in the trading space, Uniswap, OpenSea, things like that. But we want to make sure that we attract users and we retain users, and that
Yeah.
benefits holders of the non-token. So,
And this is going to be on both Ethereum mainnet. So we're gonna we're gonna have to deal
yep,
with Pepe gas prices, but it's also going to be on Optimism. So you're going to have the chance for these low transaction fees
right,
on the L2, which is
yeah,
currently one chain, but looking to be super chain here at some point. We're excited to see
right,
how that plays
right,
out, but it's going to
yeah,
be available both places. We're going multi-chain from the start,
right,
and you're going to have the ability to use the bazaar on mainnet where there's
yeah,
tons and tons and tons of funds, as well as
yeah,
optimism. So if you're looking for the low
yeah.
transaction fees, we're going to be there too, and we're
That's
hoping
right.
to. I think we have some optimism tokens that we got as part of public good funding round two.
Yeah,
We're looking to
yep.
see how that's going to be best used to help kickstart the bazaar here, and
Very cool. Very
maybe
cool.
some other things too.
Yeah. Well,
Those
I
might
was
fall under
talking with
NDA
the
still though, so I won't
yeah.
say
I
anything.
I was talking with Benji, who's Optimism's business development guy, kind of like me for Non, and
Yeah.
I was showing him Bazaar, and he was really impressed and really, really excited to play around things like that and the benefits that it's going to bring to the Optimism
Yeah.
ecosystem. So,
Well, we will
yeah,
for
exciting
sure
times
be
ahead.
we will for sure be applying for a grant from
Yeah,
Optimism to kind of help kickstart the bazaar on Optimism. So we don't know how
right.
that'll exactly play out, but we're definitely going to be looking to get that grant. And if he's excited for it and can help vouch for us, excellent. We will
Right. Absolutely, he's
we'll
willing.
get
I
that.
mean, we've got a lot of fans out there.
Yeah,
It takes a while to build the foundation that we've built, but when you work according to Ethereum first principles and build according to Ethereum first principles, right, and build in the manner that we have, you pick up a lot of fans on the way. So
yeah,
we've got a lot of backers and a lot of support.
yeah.
So
And
yeah,
orders,
really
orders
exciting.
orders on the bazaar, they take a percentage of those, and those are going to go towards the liquidity provider. So as an order placer,
Yeah,
you're not actually a liquidity provider, which is a big difference between the concentrated liquidity AMMs like Uniswap
right,
v3. You don't provide
right.
liquidity. You're just saying I'm doing this as a one shot sort of transaction as an order, but the LPs
Yep,
benefit from it in the end.
yeah.
So orders don't take away from LPs; they add to it
They
in a way
right,
that is so different from the concentrated liquidity ones that I think that's going
right.
to be a huge game changer.
Yeah, yep, definitely. And yeah, exciting times, definitely.
It is.
Can't
I
wait.
could talk about the bazaar for
Ma-
another hour or so, but
I know.
we've already been here. What? How long is it?
Oh, we're coming up on 54 minutes.
We're coming
The
up on
time
50.
just flies. I tell you what, JPN. And it's I was going to say maybe we should talk about it a little bit more next week, and maybe we will, but we've got a special surprise. We've got the man himself, Toshi Dottie, coming on to talk with us and to explain more of the vision and to explain some things and just have some fun on the podcast with us. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
I remember when I first came on with the team, Ollie was telling me about this decks that he had dreamt up and that they were starting to build this Grand Bazaar, and it was just like he
Yeah.
it was super exciting. So I've been sitting on on the Bazaar information for many months now, and it's really great to be able to
Right.
finally discuss
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, and I think that's why we were so pent up during the Bilderberg announcement. Like, here it is.
Finally,
We both
finally, we
yelled
can
out at the
talk about
same
all
time.
this. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so
right. That's right.
we've been sitting on the bazaar for quite some time now, but
Yep.
it's time for it to shine. It's ready to
Absolutely.
go here, and I'm personally really excited to use it. I will be moving my liquidity to the bazaar. I'm going to be in
Yep.
there. I'm going to be
Yep.
using it, mainnet optimism wherever I can find it. I'm
Nice.
going to be a degen monkey here.
Same here. Absolutely. Same here. Yep. So remember, go read the Medium article, collect the entry uh, for this week. So yeah. So I think that about wraps it up for episode 4. We're at almost 56 minutes here. So thanks everyone for joining, and remember to tune in next week, episode 5. We're going to have Toshi Dadi joining us to talk about the project and the future of the project, and riff back and forth with us and have a good time. So thanks everyone for joining. Have a good night.